Hello, everybody. Welcome to Today in Brevard Sports. I'm Brian McCallum. This is Florida Today's own Mike Cherry. Behind us is the Merritt Island High School football team because once again we're on location bringing you a look at the 2009 high school football season. We've got a lot more to cover with you today. We have a story on a BMX stunt biker, Anthony Garcia, who's from the O'Galley area. We'll talk to him in a few minutes. We have a story about Merritt Island volleyball. If you want to talk about success, it's Merritt Island volleyball. You've seen a lot of that. 4 years in a row, they've won the conference championship. We've got some thoughts from some Merritt Island football players who we talked to about this season, a player on offense, a player on defense, to tell us a little bit about their team. Mike, some big losses. On defense, they lost their entire defensive line. They didn't lose their defensive coordinator, but Pat Campbell's going to be working with special teams, spending a little bit more time on cross country. And they have a new defensive coordinator in Willie Tillman, who's been around the block. He's had several different jobs. Do you think a team that loses 6 defensive linemen that I guess all rotated in kind of can keep their defense going, or what do you think?
I think defense is still going to be pretty solid, and I think the offense is still going to be the same straight-ahead team that was so successful all the times last year. Merritt Island had an awful lot of close losses, but were good enough to win the district and get the second round of the 4A playoffs. They dropped down to 3A, but still have Titusville in their district this year. Your question was about the defense. I think they're still defined a little bit, Merritt Island, by the offense and ball control and keeping that defense off the field. So I think the focus, a lot of it is on offense. They still have a big front line. They still have a 1,000-yard rusher in T.J. Frederick, breaking in a new quarterback. But this guy has a little bit of experience, gotten some games, Colton. I think that they're still going to be the same type of team, and I think they're going to be one of the better teams in Brevard.
You saw probably one of their better defensive efforts against Cocoa High School. Was that 14-13, 15-14? To hold Cocoa down like that, they had to have some talent on defense last year.
Cocoa made some mistakes in that game, obviously, too. A couple turnovers, and it was sort of a attention grabber, I think, for their coach, John Wilkinson, but I also think it shows that Merritt Island was good enough when they were able to control the ball, and they did that very well. But also, if you remember that game, Cocoa took a lead late in that game, and Merritt Island responded with a march down the field in the last 2 minutes for the winning touchdown, and then gambled went for the 2-point conversion at work. So I think it's going to be the same type of team. Again, I would expect, considering who they're in with their district and everything, I think that Merritt Island would probably be the favorite to take that district again.
Well, we'll see if the players agree with you. We talked to Colby Inlow, who's both a linebacker and a defensive end, depending on what package the Mustangs are using on defense. And we asked him, will the team be very much different with the loss of those linemen and also with a new defensive coordinator?
Our defense is doing great. I mean, we have a lot of guys stepping up, juniors that are stepping up from last year. They're now seniors, defensive line. Coach Martin at the D-line, he's teaching them up real good, and I think we'll be fine. Our new coordinator just bringing a little bit different defense, but, I mean, everything will be Mustang football, so not a whole lot different.
What should fans expect to see on kind of style from the defense?
Fast, physical, and intense.
Well, that's the defense. We've said a little bit about offense. T.J. Frederick is a guy who's back. Maybe they'll be throwing the ball or running the ball even more percentage than they did last year with Sean Bauer, the receiver, gone. Do you think Frederick's presence on the offense means more carries for him, or he was there last year? Maybe there's no difference.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to play a little bit of a bigger role because well, if nothing else, Collins was a bigger quarterback than the guy who's stepping in
Colton
for him.
Clary. Yeah.
And Collins took a lot more of the load. There were some games where Collins ran the ball as much as Frederick did. I don't know if necessarily Clary's got the build to do that or not. And Frederick figures got to be another year older, used to that role, and probably has built up a little bit too. So I think that chances are we're going to see a lot more of him, and he may actually pass that 1,000 yards in the regular season if he stays healthy, rather than needing the playoff games to do that.
Colton's got some size on him. I've seen him out here practice. He can probably handle he's not as tall as Kerry Collins, but then who is? The Bulldozer. Do you think after a year that Astronaut figured it out pretty well late in the season, do you think it's still a potent weapon, or do you think that's seen its time?
No, I think it's a little bit of a gimmick thing, but I think I think they'll use it, and I think it'll be in certain situations like they did last year. I think it's more of a shock value thing than anything else, but it's also sort of a I don't say machismo thing where I think
Right.
you're sort of showing
Demoralizer.
Okay, this is it. It's pretty basic. Stop it.
Yeah. Well, we asked Shane Williams. He's the center for the Mustangs, and we asked him first about the offensive line, how that group's going to be, and then about the offense overall.
I think we're bringing back the same intensity that we brought last year, and still got some size to us. Same offense, same exact offense that you saw last year. We got great receiver core stepping up this year, a lot of seniors stepping in, and Colton's going to do a good job at the quarterback spot.
That's the offense. Now, talk about both before we leave the topic of Merritt Island. TJ Frederick playing some running back, some defensive back, maybe he'll catch some passes. Do you think it's a big deal that he'll be going both ways? My opinion is you got 100 kids, you find 22 guys to play the positions. What do you think about that?
I think they'll spell them at times too. They've got enough people to do that. But he's also a very good defensive back. He's a playmaker back there. So I think you'll see him all over the field. He'll be one of those kids. Sort of maybe the way a Winford Strickland was last year over at Cocoa and that type of thing. I think he's too valuable on both sides of the ball
and now
to sit out a lot.
E.J. Johnson, maybe?
Johnson. Mm-hmm.
Mike, did you ever watch Gomer Pyle?
Yes.
I want to know, who are we going to be talking about this year and saying, surprise, surprise, surprise? Last year, Space Coast kind of came out of nowhere with a new coach, got a playoff spot we didn't expect them to get. We thought that would be Astronauts. Is there somebody that, I guess if we're talking about them now, they're not a surprise, but is there somebody that has the potential maybe to get that glory this year?
This may not, some people say this isn't a surprise, but you got to realize put last year in context when they were 6-4. I really think that Astronaut is going to be a standout team this year. I think there's a nice mix of speed. Randy Halleck, the coach there for 12 years, he's been very happy with the line play. Plus, most of those, or an awful lot of those kids are underclassmen too, that are along the lines. I really think that that's a team that, although they may not win the district because they're in the same district as Cocoa, I really think that team is loaded and could have a really strong run over the next couple of years. So whether it's a surprise or not, I'm not sure. How many teams? I mean, you look at some teams that maybe had losing records last year. I'm not sure O'Galley's good enough to make a run at the playoffs. Titusville, probably still around 500. So I don't know. I'm thinking about teams that were maybe 500 or below
Cocoa
last
Beach
year.
needs some defense to be in that group.
Yeah, and they were 7 wins. So how much of a surprise are they going to be? 7 wins
True.
last year. They were more of a surprise last year.
Well, they would be to get a playoff spot. You agree?
They would be, yeah. But I don't think they will with
That's a tough district.
well, and then you include Rockledge,
Right.
along with Space Coast and Astronaut and Cocoa.
Right.
That's if Cocoa Beach gets in there, if they get in, yeah, that's a surprise, and you can
Right.
surprise with a pedestal.
Right. Okay. Well, something that won't be a surprise is if the Merritt Island girls volleyball team wins the conference championship, because they've done it 4 years in a row, and during that time they have not lost a conference match. We talked to Angie Patrick and her team about how they do that.
Mustangs on the work on 3, 1, 2, 3, work!
If you're looking for Cape Coast Conference dominance, consider the volleyball program of Coach Angie Patrick at Merritt Island High. The Mustangs have won the last 4 conference titles without losing a conference match during that time.
We have so much chemistry, and everyone's just giving 110% every day. We come to practice, and we work so hard, and I feel like no other team works as hard as us.
I think the key is you need a group of people that have the same vision and just work hard every day to achieve it, from coaching staff to the players to the parents. I mean, everybody on board in the program.
Like all school teams, the roster changes from year to year, but the goal remains the same for the 2009 Mustangs. Another conference title and another trip to the playoffs.
There's a lot of pressure. Our closest match, I think, was versus Rockledge last year. We went to 5 games. That's the closest we've ever come to not making it, but we pushed through and we got it. So
we practice pretty much 3 hours almost every day, and we practice hard. Our motto is all heart, all hustle, all the time, so that's kind of what we live by right now.
So that's going to be the ultimate focus.
we're definitely going to win. I don't know if our team is as strong, but we have the chemistry, and I feel like if we work hard, then we can achieve anything.
It's pretty similar year to year as far as, we always lose a couple players that were real special, contributed a lot, but we have some up and coming too, so there's a good mix there. Our goal this year is definitely, to get past districts and get further than we did last year. It'd be nice to win a conference or a conference championship again, but certainly not our mission or our goal to go undefeated like we have the last 4 years. We just want to get into playoffs.
It isn't all about Merritt Island today, and it isn't all about football. We recently talked to a young man from the O'Galley area, former O'Galley baseball player Anthony Garcia, who's now involved with BMX stunt riding. I've seen this, and it's some pretty interesting video. We'll let him tell you why he left baseball to take this up.
I love baseball a lot, and I played ever since I was little, like young, 7 years old, and went through all that. Went through Little League, I played AAU baseball, and then I went to high school, and it's just like, my friends got me into riding bikes, and they all played baseball too, and they like kind of gave that up, and then they went back to it, and then that's when I kind of gave baseball up, because there was a lot of time, and I liked riding my bike at the time, and you're your own coach in biking, you know what I mean? And you have to practice every day, you have to be committed to it, and like when I was little, I loved the game. That was the only thing I ever did: dream, sleep, play baseball, and it got too much, I think.
I've been riding with Anthony probably the last year, and he started getting pretty good at the park. And always looking for new guys to come ride vert with this. So him and another guy, Kyle Noble, who actually won the free flow last year, have been stepping up and riding the big ramp with me a couple times a week. So it's pretty good to have some young guys up there. Typically it's older guys, so young, fresh faces are good to see on the ramp. Definitely progressing pretty good. Seems like he's learning a new trick almost every time he comes out, or he's going a little bit higher, landing smoother. So sometimes just learning how to go high is a trick in itself. So when you see somebody go from being 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet, it's definitely that's progression there in itself.
I can't do a backflip, but I've tried like front flips into the foam pit. Like they feel more comfortable, and it's just I can't get that backflip rotation. I've split my chin. I rolled my ankles a bunch, hurt my knees. Nothing major.
If you're a surfer, you might be tired out from Hurricane Bill, who skirted up the coast and brought us some pretty big waves. I didn't get out to see that. I'm going to get out this next time because it looks like Tropical Storm Danny, I believe it is, check your weather reports, is about to take a similar path. Let's go to our surf report with Bob Freeman and see what's up.
Okay, well, thanks a lot. Good to be back after the last weekend of surfing, Hurricane Bill surf. I think we all took a good beating during that weekend, but had lots of fun. Looks a little calmer this weekend, though. Still got some tropical influence headed our way, so here's what I see going on. Saturday, I expect surf to be mostly waist-high range, could be some bigger sets. Still got a nice little groundswell filling in. Call it 3 feet at 9 seconds, which should produce solid waist-high surf with bigger sets. On Sunday, I see surf dropping to the mostly thigh-high range. Should still be pretty fun, especially if you have a longboard. Short boarders should be able to find some shore pound at their favorite breaks. The swell will be diminishing out of the east-northeast. I expect breezes early mornings to be out of the southwest, then becoming more southerly and southeasterly through the day. So recap: Saturday calling it waist-high and semi-clean. Sunday, thigh-high, semi-clean again, and still fun. I know I'll be out there. Maybe I'll see you. This is Bob Freeman for Florida Today.
Well, if you're watching this on TV, tonight is Friday, and we've got high school preseason games. The big one, Mike, I think it's pretty obvious what the best game is, Cocoa and Palm Bay. The best team last year and a team that's always a candidate to be one of the best teams. Is that one just heads and shoulders above all the rest?
Well, no, I think the one here actually, the Bayside Merritt Island's a very good one too.
True.
So you talk about a lot of size.
Yeah.
Two teams that are going to be sort of barging into each other in a lot of ways. Bayside's huge up front, and Merritt Island, people like Austin Shell are back, and I think they've got an experienced line too. So I really think that's a very interesting matchup, and almost like a tug of war type game maybe.
Right.
Although Bayside is move to a spread type of offense, so that might be a little interesting too. And again, the spread's deceptive because a lot of people right away think a lot of passing, and that may not necessarily be so. And actually, they're expecting their quarterback Richard Burrows to run quite a bit. But obviously, Cocoa Palm Bay is a very interesting game.
Are Wilkinson and Burke trying to win this one for mental reasons with their teams, or does it matter?
I don't think it really matters unless maybe one team just really gets blown out, particularly early when when the teams are playing their first team and all. Now, unlike an NFL exhibition game, they go, the high school teams don't have the depth to be throwing people in, from the second quarter on. You're going to see a lot more of the people that are going to be playing, starting September 4th when the games really count.
Right.
But I don't think that it's a win at all cost things, and I wouldn't be surprised if sometimes they have a JV quarter sometimes in these things too. But obviously they'd like to win, and both these guys are very competitive, obviously.
Now, something you said, a blowout. Is that the only situation where we learn anything from these games tonight, or what can we learn this weekend?
No, I think, like I said, I think that you learn a lot about the teams because they are playing all the players. It isn't like the first team quarterback is going to play 1 or 2 series and then that's it. They're going to probably play 3 quarters at least. So no, I think you do get a pretty fair indication. And now I think they'll be a little more lenient about playing more people and that type of thing. And there's probably a lot of kids that they want to see under fire too. If there's a sophomore or a junior coming up who maybe they're thinking about using or maybe play JV or that type of thing, and whether or not he's worth keeping on the varsity or that type of thing. So no, I think you get a much more of an indication. Plus, remember that the regular season's only a week away.
Right. So we'll show you the schedule. There are 4 games that are games with 2 teams from the county playing against each other. Talking about learning anything, Rockledge O'Galley. Rockledge was so down last year with 2 wins, and one of those we talked about this week, 26-point loss to O'Galley. Now, I know I was at Rockledge practice, and all I heard those kids talking about was O'Galley. Depending on what happens tonight, do you think we can learn anything about those 2 teams? Can we really tell, because O'Galley's not been a powerhouse, can we really tell if Rockledge is back from what we see tonight?
Oh, I think so, because I think that Rockledge particularly needs to come out and make a statement. They ended the year with about 5 straight losses last year, one of which was a 26-point loss to O'Galley, where Cameron Lewis ran nuts on them, and Irvin Rutledge, I think, had a good game too, and he's not back this year. But I think Rockledge needs to establish that this is the old hard-nosed Rockledge team, and again, I think it's important for the quarterback Goins, who missed a lot of last year, to kind of get a feel again and get back to playing the way he played when he was a sophomore and playing as far as the second round of the playoffs.
Well, if you missed that schedule, check it out online. Check us out anytime all week online, floridatoday.com. Join us in the paper, Florida Today. Join us here on the TV show, and if you miss it on TV, you can see it online at floridatoday.com. Next week, if you're a Merritt Island fan and you're joining us today for the first time, come back because we're going to be at Melbourne High School. That's your first regular season opponent. Melbourne is dedicating its new stadium to Tom McIntyre, who a lot of people in this county know. But join us next week right here, floridatoday.com and Florida Today.